Welcome back to the Comic Dudes. This is not a familiar voice, but not the most familiar voice to start off an episode. This is Matt, and I am here with our third co-host, the distinguished Erik, to have a conversation today. Erik, how are you doing? That's the question.
Listen, this is a day I've been waiting for a long time. We both have. I think we've both been, saying we're going to do this. And the pressure, but also like the news trickling out has been mounting to really force us into having a conversation about Star Wars.
Yeah, this is, Erik told you what it's about. This is our Star Wars conversation. Like Dave said, it is in the episode title, so you're going to know. Erik is also right. Dave said it as well, too, on the previous episode, that for me, a challenge is a hell of a motivator. So when he really started turning the heat up on me, I'm like, all right, Erik, let's do this. We got to get this done. And he said we weren't going to get it done within 2026. He's crazy. So I was like, all right, we're going to get this done. This might be a multi-parter. There might be follow-ups. I don't know where this is going.
Could be. I mean, the genesis of this was that I love Star Wars and you have fallen out of love with Star Wars.
Yes.
And we were having the conversation and I'm like, I was in a position where I used to love Star Wars. I fell out of love, but I've come back. And you were like, I don't know. And so the whole premise initially was, let's get in and talk about our Star Wars fandom, where we stand with it, and sort of explain our perspectives. There are a few things, though, before we get into it.
Sure.
That I want to bring up, because a lot has happened in the world of Star Wars in just the past 2 or 3 months.
We need to plug. You missed it. We need to plug our socials. Make sure you plug our socials there, and it should be in the episode description. Dave would be on top of us if we did not plug those in. So please make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, especially. Like Dave is kind of doing the Lord's work over there. Some really good content. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast. Now, Erik, please lead in and go on where we
absolutely.
are at.
Thank you for remembering to get the socials, because it's important. Dave's doing a lot of awesome really action figure stuff over there. Maybe he'll do some Star Wars action figure stuff.
I know that the Black Series or something. We'll see.
Something. But I was just going to run through some recent Star Wars events and news.
Sure.
This first one, pretty big. On December 5th, they announced that the release of the original theatrical cut of Star Wars was coming in 2027.
Okay.
That's a 50th anniversary beat.
I didn't know if that was real or not. I was like, because I also was like, Erik, we need to record, I don't know, but I didn't know if that was AI or fake news or whatever. Okay. Thank you for confirming that.
Real news. And it's something, these cuts have been unseen for decades. Lucas said pretty directly, I'll never release them because that's not the version I want people to see.
Yep.
And finally, it was announced that they're going to put it into theaters for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in 2027. Now, there have been 2 groups feverishly working over the past 10, 15 years to reassemble the original theatrical cuts of the original trilogy. And you can download them. I've got one of them downloaded. One of them is the years. It's like the 77, 80, 83, and then the other one is despecialized versions. So there are people that have tried to put them together to the best of their knowledge, but these, to our understanding, will be the official original theatrical cuts. It was screened at a special event in December. So it's real.
It's real. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought. There was like a private screening or something of it. So, but okay, so it is real.
Yeah.
And it's the whole original trilogy or just the first film?
Just the first movie.
Okay.
But I have to imagine if that goes well.
Yeah. Which it's going to.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see the other ones come out.
Yeah.
January 14th, the new theatrical film Star Wars Starfighter wraps filming.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in post-production on that. Also on January 14th, it's announced that the original trilogy characters and lore would be added to Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. I don't know if you know this, but in the theme parks, Galaxy's Edge is hard themed to the time between episodes 8 and 9.
Yep.
But now, at least at Disneyland in California, half of that area will be original trilogy.
I'm so glad that we're getting to do this podcast, because I'm going to come off, it probably is very toxic, but I need you to understand my mind frame. And but we'll save that. Yep. Original trilogy. Okay. Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. We could talk more about it.
Yeah, let's do that.
The next day, this is maybe the biggest news in the world of Star Wars in a long time. January 15th, Kathleen Kennedy announces she will step down as head of Lucasfilm. She's been in that role since 2012, appointed by George Lucas himself, about a month before the Disney acquisition was finalized. So she isn't somebody that Disney put there, which I think there are people that probably assume that. She came with the company when they acquired it.
Yeah.
She is handing the reins over to her longtime lieutenants. Lucasfilm will now be run by current Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni.
Yep.
And on the business side, Lin-Wyn Brennan, who is an executive that's been with Lucasfilm as executive vice president and general manager for like 16 years. They were at ILM and stuff. So they've been in the mix. Kathleen Kennedy, however, is not completely exiting Star Wars. She's going to go back to producing mostly Star Wars content. I don't know if you know this. Previously as a producer, her credits include Poltergeist, E.T., Schindler's List, The Sixth Sense, and franchises including Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and Back to the Future.
I only knew about Indiana Jones and E.T., I feel like. I did not know any of that other stuff. So
yeah. Couple of other big shifts. February 3rd, Bob Iger, Disney CEO, announces his retirement for the second time.
Yeah, I was going to say he came back. Yeah.
Looks like Josh D'Amaro, current head of Disney Parks, is assuming that CEO role, and Dana Walden will become president and chief creative officer. And then, most importantly, they just dropped a trailer for Maul Shadow Lord.
Okay, I did not see that.
From the creators of Clone Wars. Pretty exciting. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot going on. They also just dropped trailers for, I think, 2 new Star Wars games. You've got Racer, and then there's like an XCOM game. What is it called? Zero Crew, something like that.
Yeah.
Zero Squad.
Zero Company.
Zero Company. I think that's it. After a little bit of a pullback of them, hey, we're not going to release stuff into theaters every year and all this stuff. Star Wars is truly ramping up. Obviously, Mandalorian and Grogu is about to release as well in the theaters. A lot of Star Wars stuff happening right now.
Good.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
I don't know where we're gonna go with this.
In 2026.
Yeah.
This is simply stating a personal position.
Yeah.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
I will always be a Star Wars fan. The property
that sounds like a loaded answer right there. There's a but.
The property is way too influential in my life, especially in my childhood. As I've gotten older, a lot of the material that I've seen recently has not necessarily appealed to me. With that said, I have my justifications and talking points that I would like to talk about later. But I'm getting to that age in my life where like everything doesn't have to appeal to me. Like if something it doesn't vibe with me, like I just move on. I'm not going to get on Twitter and bitch about it and complain about it and say how awful it is. It's just, it is what it is. With that said, I do feel that like with Star Wars right now, I'm really in like that apathetic phase. I've since kind of the prequel era, I was in like crossed arms energy every time I went to see a Star Wars project. Like you got to prove it to me. Like you really do. Yeah. So like, that's where I'm at. Like with that said, like I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan. I'll come back if there's something that interests me. But like, I used to be like really diehard, and I'm not necessarily there anymore.
So you're like a non-practicing Star Wars fan.
I would say you're more
nostalgic for the franchise than you're not keeping up on everything that's going on.
No, definitely not. That could change. That I think this conversation will be a good thing. Like I have really no one to talk to about Star Wars 2. So I've really had no like I don't like I've never asked like Dave if he's like really into Star Wars. Like he doesn't. He's not like our buddy Sheridan. Like he's like, oh, tell Eric I said hello. Like Eric or Sheridan loves Ahsoka. Like Ahsoka is like his favorite character. But like,
oh yeah,
it's not like he's like, oh man, like Book of Boba Fett dropped. Did you watch that? Like we're talking about other stuff. So like, I haven't really had that need to.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
How and when were you first exposed to Star Wars?
So, to my knowledge, from what I'm remembering, I remember I lived in Ohio, very small farm town. And my one friend, Andy, his dad, I loved his dad. He was like a really hardworking guy, a really hardworking farmer. He had like all the G.I. Joes, like all the cool toys, the Sega Genesis. But I remember him having these weird like space figures, and they were Star Wars figures. And I specifically remember like the Stormtroopers and Boba Fett. And my personal favorite character, which I have a guy up there, I think, is IG-88. I love IG-88 for some reason. I don't know why. I just always thought that character was cool. I almost bought one of those huge statues at GameStop for like $400. He was in a case. And nice. I almost bought an IG-88, but I think I was in Texas with Dave actually, and I was like, I'm not going to ship this across the country. But and then from there, my other buddy Marty, his dad was, him and my dad were really good friends. His dad was a carrot farmer, which is kind of interesting. So also another farmer, and his dad was like very well off. He was very successful at the carrot farming business. And I remember us just going to like Cincinnati a lot, to like Cincinnati like zoo and museum and stuff. And they had one of those like big, not like the creepy white panel vans, but like those big like Winnebago kind of vans. And it was like my first experience with someone having a TV with a VCR in it. I remember when you started talking about the original trilogy, I don't remember if you remember the VHS tapes that like one of them had Vader on it. I think Empire was a Stormtrooper and Return was Yoda, I want to say.
Yep.
Dude, we used to wear those things out. And I think that was where I kind of fell in love just seeing Star Wars, especially Empire and Return of the Jedi. I am not the biggest film head, but if you would ask me, I would have said Empire Strikes Back is probably my favorite movie of all time. Like I love Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, undeniably the best of the original trilogy.
For sure.
So I would say in 2026, 100% am a Star Wars fan.
You're
big
in.
time.
All in.
I'm all in on Star Wars. And I mean, I've gone through phases. I was originally exposed to Star Wars. I couldn't have been but 2, maybe 3. Yeah. And you know how kids will watch the same thing over and over every day, put on the same thing. We had a bootleg copy of Star Wars on VHS that somebody took a camcorder into a theater.
Nice.
I watched it every day.
That's awesome.
To the point where, and this is funny, I lived with my grandma and she was in the hospital for something that was non-serious, but me as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old was like, grandma can't watch Star Wars if she's in the hospital. I'm going to take a tablet of paper and draw her every scene of Star Wars so that she could have Star Wars at the hospital. But I could do it from memory at that point because I knew Star Wars that well.
Yeah.
And for a long time, even in through the 90s, Star Wars kind of had a dead period, but I still rode for Star Wars. I had, nerdy friends that were reading the expanded universe books and we would talk about that stuff. And when it got to the prequels, I was excited and we had a good time with the prequels and whatever, even though they had their issues. But I started to fall out of love and I became one of those original trilogy stalwarts, right? I was like, this original trilogy is the only thing that's good, blah, blah, blah. And then a few years ago, I guess it was during COVID, we were like, well, let's watch the Clone Wars. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah. Yep.
And brought me back into the fold 100%. And Christy and I have now multiple times in the past, 5-6 years, watched all Star Wars content chronologically, watched back through Clone Wars again and all that stuff.
Insanity.
reading some of the books, and we went to Galactic Star Cruiser and did that whole
Did
thing.
you really?
Yeah.
My God.
Oh yeah. And we fucking loved it. So like, I love Star Wars, but do you have a favorite? You said Empire is your favorite movie.
Empire is my favorite.
Okay. All right.
So here's a big line of distinction that
Yeah.
you've just said now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching. Sheridan has for years been like, dude, you need to watch Scrubs. And I've put Scrubs off, the show Scrubs off. Have you seen Scrubs? You familiar with Scrubs?
I know what Scrubs is.
Dude, Scrubs is like the best show I've ever, like, it's so good. Like, as a comedy, it's really, really good. It hits with me and resonates. You have said something that Sheridan has also always talked about, and that is the Clone Wars. I've never seen the Clone Wars. And he's like, dude, you need to watch the Clone Wars. He's like, I guarantee you will fall in love with it and you'll like it. So I've seen an episode like here or there, but I never really got into Clone Wars. So I think that is something that I'm willing to brush up at some point, because he's like, again, that's just like a lot of Star Wars content that I can have to chew on.
So you should watch it. Sheridan is right. And I will say this about the Clone Wars. It changed Star Wars for me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like and I am not really exposed to like the animation. So like my beef is primarily with the live action stuff. Like I don't, that's where my beef. So like I see some of these, like the Bad Batch or whatever, that looked cool to me. Like that
Bad Batch is great. It's an extension of Clone Wars.
Exactly. It's an extension of Clone Wars, but like I've been just so out of it and just so disgruntled. I'm like, whatever, man. Like I got other things going on, but like, yeah, like Clone Wars might be something I have to brush up on.
So here's what happened for me. I watched Clone Wars, and the first season, I'm like, okay. And
I'm
then
getting
it hits its stride.
I'm getting the best of the best. Give me the best of season 1 just to get me to the real meat of the matter. Like that's what I.
Right. By the time, I mean, it's still fun. It's still fun to watch.
No, man.
Seasons 1 and 2, and then it sort of builds a platform. And then by the time you're into season 3, they're like, hey, we could tell a real story here. We could really give you some meaty character and give you context about the clones and the Empire and why this is happening and what this means.
See, that's the stuff
the underground. And there's just so much interesting lore there that what Dave Filoni did with that show was something amazing. You had these 3 admittedly flawed prequel movies that did not age well. And he took the Clone Wars and fixed everything that was wrong with them.
And that the prequels, I really don't even have the most. I don't have the most heat with the prequels. Like
same.
I don't think they're like
the most hatred I have is for the sequels.
Agreed. So like we've already reached common ground there. Like in my like canon, like there's 2 of the Disney movies I actually really do like, and then it's the original trilogy, and I include like I have them in 4K. I went and bought episode 3. I legitimately like episode 3. I like it. I've always liked it from day one.
2 was probably the worst.
Movies. 2, I think, was the worst one. I would agree. But like, I like episode 3. Legitimately, in my head canon, episode 3 is in there. I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, here's what Clone Wars changed. I went back and watched them, and actually, what you do is you watch episodes 1 and 2, I believe, then all the episodes of Clone Wars except for the last 3, then you watch episode 3, then you watch the remainder of Clone Wars because
it like bridges,
And then I went, wait a minute, these aren't bad Star Wars movies. They're great episodes of the Clone Wars.
See,
I get it.
That's what the TV's supposed to do. It's supposed to buttress the films.
And then from there, the Skywalker saga became very secondary to me. The stuff that was happening in Clone Wars was more important.
This makes more sense. Like this makes more sense to me. Like
if you asked me my favorite characters in Star Wars, almost none of them would be from the Skywalker main characters. It just wouldn't be.
What do you mean by that? Like Luke, Han, Leia, them, or like
none of those.
Okay. Oh, wow.
None of those characters would fall into my favorites. Is Han cool? Sure. Boba Fett, super cool. Love Boba Fett. But like my favorite characters are Asajj Ventress and Ahsoka Tano, and I love like a lot of the Bad Batch. I think are really endearing characters, and Omega from that all of that stuff, and even then I watched Rebels, and at first Rebels I was like, oh, it's a kids show, and by the end it's like heart wrenching.
Again, I feel like Rebels turned into like a real show too. Like I don't know,
even Resistance, which I think is pretty well reviled. The first season is like a meandering kids show. And then season 2, end of season 1 and into season 2, I was like, fuck, this is starting to give context to the sequel movies.
Yeah.
Like I really like some of the stuff in that's really good to me too. And I like most of the live action TV shows, although some of them stumbled. I do think, well, we'll get to the problems with Star Wars, what they do well, what they don't do well. But what, overall, what does your current consumption of Star Wars look like? Are you checking out any of the new stuff that's coming out? Are you watching TV shows or movies or reading books or comics, games, any of it?
Games I'm interested in. That's kind of just been like my headcanon. Like, it's just like, for me, Star Wars, like, I will accept prequels. I will accept original trilogy. I will pretty much accept everything up to those sequel movies for the most part. We'll talk about the bad later. If I was to do these Star Wars movies, the sequels, I would have set that so far in the future to not even have the original characters involved personally.
Well, okay, so we'll get to that, because I was going to say
that's my, or so far, or did like, what is it, like the High Republic era? What I would have did
way in the past,
or way in the future, and we're going to reference Han and Leia in them, or like they're really not going to be that involved. That's what I would have done. But yeah, never mind.
I love the world of Star Wars, right? And it's not so much the sci-fi aspects as much as the fantastical aspects. I like, the colorful aspects of Star Wars, and I don't mean that in the literal. I like it being colorful. I mean the unexpected things, right? Yeah. You've got these different worlds and different creatures and cultures and adventures. Like, those are the things that I think are cool about Star Wars. And for some reason, Disney has become convinced that the thing people love about Star Wars are the characters from the original trilogy, and all you can do is go back to the well over
the same, and everyone's connected. Everything has to be connected. It has to be a Skywalker. It has to be like, and
honestly, the things that have worked, some of the things that have worked best for me are things that are telling a story in the Star Wars universe, but disconnected from those established movies. Sure, maybe you see common locations or common weapons or cultures, but if you create these new characters, there's no expectation from the community to go, but that's not how this character would act or what they would do or where this happened. And you go, we're telling you a story within this universe that you love. And that's how I learn to love Star Wars again, was going, well, I love this world. And if there's some aspect of it I don't like, that's fine, because there's enough stuff I do.
Mm-hmm.
So
100% in agreement. So you said, I'm not actively watching any of the TV shows or the comic. Like, I did read the Vader comic book series a few years ago, which was really good. And I was reading a lot of that stuff. But then kind of when the sequels came out, I kind of fell out of love with that. But I would go back to the Vader book even after that. And the Vader, like the Star Wars Vader comics, they're kind of like Daredevil to me. They're always good. They were always good when I read, even if I hated like this main Star Wars book or some of the Bounty Hunter books. That book was good. Video games though, like I am intrigued. I am intrigued by that tactics game. I am intrigued. Amy Hennig, who was on Uncharted, like she apparently had a game. Eclipse, we don't know if that's canceled. Haven't heard anything about it. But I popped big time at the Game Awards for that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic ish game. That's like I don't know if it's a remake or what. I popped big time.
There's still a remake in the works,
and I don't think that's that. Like whatever that game was though. I was like, that looks cool, and like I want to play that. Granted, it's probably not coming out until 2030, but I was like, so there is, like I said, there is some love of Star Wars in me, and always will be. It's just
what is it about Star Wars that does appeal to you? Like about the not just the IP, but the world of Star Wars.
It's just a vibe. It's just a vibe, man. It's just like it's that I like the original trilogy where it's not so clean. Like the prequels are too clean because they were shot on like the green screen, but like the characters, they don't have to be like Han, Luke, and Leia. Like I like a different cast, like a different, more diverse cast, but just the foundation. I like a Jedi, I like a laser sword, but it doesn't have to be in that. Like I don't need that. I like the concept of like the bounty hunters. I like the might of the Empire. Like I feel like Rogue One was like really showed that off well. Like how big and like powerful like the Empire really was, and like the hopefulness of a rebellion or an uprising against that. The bounty hunters are always cool. Like the gritty just vibe of Star Wars I've liked. I liked the more spiritual nature of the Force, not the midichlorians or whatever. Like I wrote that. I wrote that out of, I retconned that. One of the things in the sequel trilogy that I did think was okay if they had followed up on it is like the whole, like, there can be more Jedi than like Luke Skywalker. Like anyone, quote unquote, could be a Jedi. I think it's cool that like different, it does not have to just be, you have to have Skywalker or Palpatine blood to be a powerful Jedi. Like, I thought that was a cool concept that they they really didn't follow up on. But I like Hoth. I like ATSTs. I like AT-ATs. I like all that stuff. So like the diverse locales, like that was the first thing. Empire is one of the first movie where there's like a bunch of different locations. With Dagobah, Hoth, fucking Bespin was cool as shit. With Cloud Skitty, you know, it's just Endor and Return of the Jedi, like just very diverse environments and just a vibe.
Yeah, no, I those are all things that I like very much about it as well. There's this aspect of being able to just pick up and go to a different planet, and it being a completely different biome with a different culture and everything. You know, there's a certain wonder to Star Wars that's exciting to me. It's different from, I think people lump Star Wars and Star Trek together and stuff. And I think Star Trek is more hard sci-fi, right? Yeah. It's a little more grounded. It's a little more, here's what could happen versus here's what could never happen. It's a fantastical thing. And I've always thought on some level, the real world's boring. I would much rather live in some cool ass galaxy like this where I can, hop on a spaceship and go to some completely different place, go to a planet, go to Ryloth and hang out with all the Twi'leks.
I have become a bit of a Trekkie. I have been like really getting into Star Trek as well too. I will admit though, as much as the Trekkies hate the Abrams trilogy, that is like a big factor of what got me into Star Trek, and that's the most Star Wars like of the Star Trek stuff is like like the Abrams trilogy. I love the Kelvin timeline. I love it. So
I mean, so you're largely, if you see something that's intriguing, and maybe you'll check it out, but you're not staying up on, you're not reading the books or playing, games actively, things like that.
I played the first Jedi game and I really liked it. I've debated about going back to it, but like I'm not actively Fallen Order. I need to play Survivor. But I mean, just other things. Yeah. I'm not active.
I'm way more actively watching stuff.
Yeah. Would you call me non-practicing? I'm non-practicing.
Yeah. I've seen all the movies. I've seen all the live action TV shows. I think I've seen all the animated TV shows, even the stuff that's like non-canon, like what is it? The Visions. I thought the Visions were cool. I read some of the books. Well, actually, some of the books are some of my favorite Star Wars stories. That stuff is good. Played some of the games, but not all of them, because a lot of them are not the type of game that I want to play. Yeah. I've never gotten into tabletop. I have purchased the complete Dr. Aphra that I plan to read because I've heard it's really good, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Is that the comic series?
Yeah.
I read most of that, but yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I like the theme park stuff. I like going to Batu, and I even read the book that takes place in Batu, which is pretty cool. It's actually very good. But we also, that's sort of our comfort thing to watch. No,
that's awesome.
We'll start through and let's start Star Wars over, and let's watch everything Star Wars, and let's watch the Ewoks movies, and everything that we can. What do you think Star Wars is doing well right now? Just as a reminder, upcoming slate of Star Wars media in the next year or two. Mandalorian and Grogu. We've got the Star Wars Starfighter movie coming out. We've got Ahsoka season 2 on the way. We've got the Maul Shadow Lord TV show. Apparently, they're doing a spin-off of Visions called The Ninth Jedi. It's going to be a TV series based on that one. It's like an anthology series. We've got the Galactic Racer game coming up. We've got the Zero Company game. We've got the re-release of the original movie. What do you think they're doing well right now?
I mean, that's more of a question for you, what they're doing. Because, I can't intellectually say what I necessarily think they're doing well.
If they're not getting your attention, they're not doing something right.
They got my attention with that Super Bowl ad. I thought it was kind of stupid. But, I wanted to see The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, I'm going to go see that. I'll go see it opening weekend, aka the Monday after it comes out. But I plan to, actively go see that movie because I liked the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian a lot. The third I did not watch. But I will
People talk shit on that 3rd season, but
they sure do.
It's not bad. It's not. If you watched Rebels. And you watched
Dude,
Clone
but this
Wars.
is a lot of homework you're making people do here.
It's true, but here's the thing.
You're all in, dude. You're all in.
I always used to be the person that would say things like, and I still think this on the most scale, is if I am watching a movie, I should not have had to previously watch an animated television series, read a specific book, played a specific game, and read a comic series to understand what's happening. But I'm so deep in it that I want all that lore.
Yes.
I'm give it to me.
Yes. 100%.
So I get why maybe somebody's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in season 3 of The Mandalorian, where I'm like, oh no, this is all about, the fall of Mandalore and, all this stuff, it all ties in. And I'm like, that to me was pretty cool. And I get it, but I also love it.
Yeah, no, I was kind of turned off at that point. So the first 2 seasons I really liked. This Star Wars Starfighter film with Ryan Gosling, I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I plan to go see that as well too, depending what trailers look like and all that.
I like that it's a standalone story.
Yeah. I was really interested. Don't know if this is happening. Don't know if it got canceled. Do you know anything about this Patty Jenkins movie that was supposed to be Rogue Squadron? Because
canceled.
Canceled. Perfect. Sounds good. Because that was something I was actually really excited about because I like Rogue Squadron, but perfect.
I think it got canceled after Wonder Woman 84 kind of was what it was.
That's nasty work. She can't slip up one time. They can't have one bad movie.
Yeah, I don't know. There was also a Ryan Johnson trilogy that was supposed to happen. That got axed.
D-Boy and Boys, those guys who left Game of Thrones or whatever. Who left Game of Thrones and left it in shambles to make a Star Wars trilogy, and then that TV show or trilogy, and then that never happened.
There's supposedly a Taika Waititi Star Wars movie that has been in
Have fun at that.
I hope that doesn't happen. I love when he does original content because it's brilliant, but keep him away from established IP.
Yeah, exactly. I was have fun with that, buddy. That's not
he and Ryan Johnson both are like, let's be subversive. Let's do things that'll piss people off, and I'm like, don't do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you put the question back to me. What are they doing well? I don't know. Because there's a lot that they're not doing well. They're fumbling the ball routinely. And I don't know that this change is going to make people happy with Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, I agree,
leaving.
dude.
I love what Dave Filoni is doing, but Dave Filoni is building the Filoniverse of Star Wars. And if you're not willing to put in the time to go, hey, let me understand all your animated series and go, I know what this is. The movies are going to drop and people are going to be like, what the fuck is this? You know, I think he gets Star Wars on a level, like as a fan, that few people do. And that's great. But I also think, and maybe selfishly, I kind of appreciate this on some level, that it makes it harder to consume from a mass audience.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that was my problem when we first started the podcast. Just me with all the Marvel stuff is just like, as a parent with 2 kids, like that's a lot. It was just a lot of the Marvel stuff, especially. It was just constant. And I'm like, dude, like I can't keep up with this. Like I just can't. So I need to know like, what's my entry ramp? What's my exit ramp? I have to follow kind of what I want. So like, or not what I want and like, so when you say that, I'm okay. Like most people, I'm like probably most people, I'm okay with being in the dark a little bit. Like I'll figure it out, or I'll ask people. Like that doesn't necessarily turn me off. But yeah, I don't. It's a lot of content, and some people are just like, well, I'm not going to get involved. Like after that sequel trilogy and what you did, like I'm good. Like I'm good on Star Wars. And
admittedly, the sequel trilogy was enough of a mess, and you pair that with Solo, that really burned people. Solo, not a terrible movie by any means. Feels like an episode of the Clone Wars, but
I'll say it. I love Solo. Solo is one of the 2 movies that I actually really liked. So
I don't think Solo is bad, but I do think
I don't either.
There are things about it I don't like.
Sure.
But there are few characters in the history of cinema that are more iconic or bound to the actor that plays them as Han Solo.
Yep.
And when you recast that person with somebody that doesn't look or necessarily act like that person, it's really difficult. It takes you out of it, right? But again, when I watched it in context with the Clone Wars and stuff, I went, okay, all right, I can buy this. You know, my first time watching it, I was like, no, this is terrible. And then I was like, wait, just open your mind up a little to Star Wars. And I'm like, there's still enough Star Wars that I love in here. You know, there's still enough stuff that I like about this in here.
Bro, that Donald Glover is Lando Calrissian. That is worth that movie all day long.
It all works, day long. But explain to me his romance with the robot, and then the robot is in the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, just take that stuff out of here.
He plugged her. Yeah. That's his companion, though. He's in love. Yeah, that's his companion.
The thing that I don't want Star Wars to continue being, if there's something they're not doing well, if we're moving on to things that I wish they would stop doing, it's Star Wars being a purely nostalgia machine. You don't need to go into a movie like Solo and be like, okay, let's just watch the original trilogy and go, there's dice hanging from his mirror. Let's explain the origin of the dice. Let's explain the origin of his name. Let's explain the origin of the Millennium Falcon. Let's explain the origin of this. Let's correct the parsecs thing because George Lucas didn't understand that it was a unit of space and not a unit of time. Let's, all that stuff is fine. But Star Wars doesn't have to be nostalgia. Star Wars can be then and now, and it can be in the future, whatever it needs to be. I think continually going back to the well to tell the story of characters that we recognize, making an Obi-Wan TV show and things like that.
Yeah.
Unless there's a compelling story that we need to know from that time frame, like Rogue One, which worked well, we don't need to keep going back to the well. I never need to see an 80-year-old actor reprising their role and going, well, let's squeeze one more movie out of this, although I thought Force Awakens was fun as a reintroduction to Star Wars. It was like, hey, remember all this stuff you loved? It's back, right? Okay, great. At that moment, it worked for me. So I think, to me, those are the challenges. The other challenges are doing too much. You got too much in too many places. even somebody like me who loves it, I can't keep up with everything. There's no way I can read every book and read every comic and play every game and watch every show and stuff, you know? Let it be special. That was one of my big things. I'm like, if you put Star Wars shit out all the time, it's not special. Star Wars used to be special.
But they can't because they got to make money off of it.
Right. Well, at this point, they have to have made their money back from that acquisition.
Yeah.
But I think those are my biggest challenges with it. It's give it to people that understand the universe, because they've done a lot of, just like Marvel has, hire the hot new director that may or may not give a shit about the source content or understand what makes it what it is.
Just what makes it what it is. Even.
Right. Yeah. It's not, I don't care if you're a fan. I need you to understand the tone of this content and what makes this content special and what makes it resonate with people. But put it in the hands of people that do understand it, that love it, that are going to create content that they want to watch because it's Star Wars. I don't need subversive Star Wars. Like, sure, make me think, sure, do something unexpected, but don't do, hey, I don't like Star Wars, so I'm going to make something that's not Star Wars, you know, like, okay, just make a different thing then. I will say this, and it'll probably piss people off. I think Andor was that on a lot of levels. It's the most critically acclaimed Star Wars show, but it was Star Wars for people that don't like Star Wars. It was grounded and sort of Star Wars for the Game of Thrones crowd. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, the people that want light fantasy, but more character development and story, which are both important things, but there's stuff I love about Andor. Don't get me wrong. But I think it was also subversive. I think it was trying to go, we know what Star Wars is, and here's what it's not, you know?
So I've lied. I actually have been watching some Star Wars content. I actually fired up Andor, and I'm 3 episodes into it.
The first season?
Yep, first season. Yeah. It's very slow right now. That's my biggest complaint.
It stays slow. The whole,
like, it's
both
so
seasons.
Slow.
I said both seasons would benefit from being 3 episodes shorter. They could condense it quite a bit.
Yeah, but it's good. Seems good from what, like, I'm not opposed to watching it. Like, I have been some Star Wars content, but I'm just like, man, I watch Star Trek and like, this shit is slow. This is slower than Star Trek. And that is a problem.
It is. I had to watch the first season. We watched it as it released, so it was waiting a week in between.
Yeah,
and
I can.
There were certain, you know, because Andor kind of goes in 3 episode arcs, right?
Okay.
And some of it, I'm like, holy fuck, have we been in this specific arc for 6 months? When is this going to end?
Yeah.
But then the second time we watched it, we just binged it, and it felt a lot better. So again, I'm not saying it's bad. Beautifully shot.
Yeah,
very well acted, well written, although dense. Sometimes can be hard to
girthy.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to keep track of what's going on or what they're insinuating. Rarely ties into, you know, known Star Wars lore, and where it does it very subtly. Like, if you're looking, you've got to be a real Star Wars fan to pick up on some of it, you know?
Okay.
So I do like that it tells a connected but disconnected story. Standalone story is good. But so, I mean, I guess if I'm talking about all the things that I don't think that they're doing well are the biggest opportunities, you know, that sort of falls in there. And people are going to be like, Andor's the greatest Star Wars content ever. And I'm like, okay, it's a decent show, but Star Wars, sort of.
Yeah.
Man. What, I mean, if you were to say, here is what is keeping me away from Star Wars, what would it be? I mean, what are they doing that's pushing you away?
This is the start of an entirely new episode.
Yeah.
For me, the straw that broke the camel's back was the sequel trilogy. It truly was. It wasn't the prequels. I was fine with the prequels. Mm-hmm. Those movies weren't perfect. The sequel trilogy. I went and saw The Force Awakens. Do you remember approximately the first line of The Force Awakens?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It was that old general guy, and he's like, "This will begin to make things right." And I was like, "All right, man. I think we're on the right track here." I went and saw The Force Awakens. I want to say 5 times in the theater. I cry every time at the end of that movie. That is how much I love Luke Skywalker as a character. Like Luke Skywalker, that tale, his path from just being like a lowly farm boy to being this guy who saves the universe, redeems his father, and all this, like the leading up to that last with the swell of the music and the John Williams score and all that, like I get emotional still when I see that, the ending of that movie, and how everything was subverted in that second movie. It has forever ruined tarnished Star Wars for me.
Listen,
and for a lot of people.
Same fucking page, man. Same page.
The thing about that, like I have notes and I could go and like we could go into it, but if they were going to do that, what they should have done is we should have let Rian Johnson do his thing or whoever and finish that story and keep going. Not bring JJ back, try to maneuver it, figure it out. So the main thing is you are in control, Kathleen Kennedy, of Star Wars. I will say that again. You are in control of Star Wars. If you would have told me that not just me, but a lot of people would be as apathetic to Star Wars as they are in this moment, I would have told you you were crazy 15 years ago. There's no way. Dude, we survived the Star Wars holiday special, all these weird movies. Like, there's no way that people would feel this way. And they did it. They had no planning, which is just ridiculous. We've planned more for this episode than they planned for a trilogy of movies, which is absurd. And I will never get over the treatment of Luke Skywalker primarily. He is the one that I will not, I can't get over that. Like Han, they should have thrown the bag at Harrison Ford and made him come back. It really, in my opinion, those movies should have been the original trilogy for most of it, and then hand it off to the new cast and like the second movie, and then we can go forward with the new cast if we're going to go that direction. As we kind of talked about, I think they should have went super far in the future. But if you're going to bring the old heads back and drag them up, and they're 80 years old again, which you shouldn't do because it's the Nick Fury Secret Invasion thing where you're 106 and you're rolling around like or whatever. If you're going to bring these old people back, that's how they should have did it. They should not have killed Harrison Ford in the first movie. That pissed a bunch of people off, subverted a lot of expectations. I get it. I understand the behind the scenes that he didn't want to do it. He's old. He wanted Han dead in Return of the Jedi. That's why you should have went forward 100 years and not did that then. But the treatment of Luke, especially, like just dude, like, and the fact, here's the problem, Eric, and you know it. The fact is we will never see that original trilogy cast together, and they can't do anything. So the only thing they can do to fix this, in my mind, is completely retcon those movies and say we, pardon my French, fucked up, and they'll never do that. So like, and that I'm not the only person who feels that way. There's a lot of people who feel the same way as I do. Like, I'm
quite shocked when I encounter somebody that's like, no, I love that movie.
There's Star Wars, to me, it's to me, this is not how you feel, but to me, Star Wars is like a great running back, and Dave will love this reference. There's still a burst in there every once in a while. You'll get a couple good plays, but on a consistent basis, you're not like an all-pro anymore. There'll be a couple really good episodes. There's some really cool great cinematography in Last Jedi. That throne room sequence is badass. What is the planet of Crate? That was pretty cool. Luke coming out, seeing Leia. I also get choked up and emotional on that because I was like, holy shit. We're finally going to see Luke Skywalker at full power. Like, it's supreme power. And, like, what we got from that, like, it's just subversion, dude. And I just cannot. Dude, I can just go off on so much. Like, then we have the whole, I'm going to say it, and I don't care if I'm the toxic guy. I have the whole diversity angle that I just think is complete bullshit, the Disney. And me and Dave used to clash about this a lot on the podcast. But, like, don't talk to me about diversity. Don't talk to me about we want, people of color and all these genders and sexualities. And then you minimize my man Finn and put him as the tiniest little thing on the Chinese poster. I'm not trying to hear that, dude. Like, I'm just not trying to hear that. And like, I listen to all kinds of content. Politically, whatever, I'm a pretty centrist person. Other people on this show are probably way more liberal than I am, aka Dave, and that's okay. And that's great. I listen to people on the right too. The people on the right that are the toxic fan base that everyone talks about, that are all the racist people. The one thing that a lot of those people agree upon was the coolest concept of that sequel trilogy was Finn. A lot of people liked Finn. And what they did, the concept, we talk about that might and that empire. The concept of a turncoat stormtrooper is so cool. It would be Finn, Kylo Ren were probably the two highest. Rey's somewhere in the bottom. But Finn is the character that like everyone thought was freaking cool from the beginning of that teaser trailer. When he pops up and he's looking around, like, dude, that was the coolest shit.
Well, there's a reason John Boyega wants nothing to do with Star Wars.
And how they treated him.
They did him dirty.
They did him dirty, dude.
So and two things. Number one.
Go ahead. I'm ranting, but like this is where I said this is why I didn't want to do this.
But this is it. This is what we needed to get to. Because it takes me back to the first question I asked. You are very clearly a Star Wars fan. You've got love for this, or you wouldn't give a shit.
I wouldn't care. Yeah, no, I agree.
What this all comes down to, and I agree with almost every single thing you said there, because I felt the same way. I couldn't have been more back on board for the Star Wars movies when Force Awakens comes out. And then, God, dude. 2 years later, I go with my friend to see everything that I was hoping. Like, I was let's find out who Snoke is. Let's
you're talking about Force Awakens? Yeah,
and then all of it turned on its head and thrown away and disregarded. What it comes down to for me is that Star Wars has been handled more as a commodity than as a piece of art or a piece of story, right? There should have never been, and I know they rushed. They bought it and they were like, let's get this shit into theaters.
Yep.
They should have never done it without a solid plan and story for 3 movies, not for 1 movie, for 3 movies. They should have spent whatever money it cost to get J.J. Abrams to do all 3 if he had an idea for all 3.
Yep.
What they did instead was, well, we'll get you going for 1. And, if you want to go work on something else, that's fine. We'll hire this other guy who is, again, a young hotshot director that had done some movies that had gotten some attention and said, well, whatever you did, I am going to do the opposite just to piss people off because I think that's fun. And then they went, fuck, we shouldn't have done that, and panicked and went, JJ, come back, undo what he undid, fix it, which made it even more of a mess. That last movie,
the dead are alive, the dead arise. The first scroll of that movie, even
more of a mess.
Yes,
somehow Palpatine returned.
Yes,
that's the best. That's the best answer you have. Somehow, but I will tell you, despite their turning it into a commodity that is creative by committee and mostly dictated by the general public's dollars, right? They would not have minimized Finn on that poster if they didn't think it meant more money for them in China.
Oh,
it's
100%.
all been about profit, right? Yeah. They went, we spent $60 billion or whatever. We need to make that money back somehow. We're going to do whatever it takes.
100%. No, I get it. It's just, that's why these corporations, when they talk about this diversity and stuff in there, as a person, and this is just me, as a person who's a part of that one of those communities, like it's kind of what we're talking about with Disney and all that. Like, if you don't know how to write a black character or whatever character, like don't do it, in my opinion. Like, don't do it you do it wrong. Just write white characters if that's what you need to do, and that's how you do it well. Like, the problem is, it's not necessarily the diversity, it's we don't have the writing caliber, which kind of goes back to your planning and writing and having a good script and all that. Like, that has been the through line that I've seen through Disney. They have focused more on diversity, gender issues, all that stuff, and not the actual story of what they are trying to do, in my opinion.
Well, the art should be first and foremost, right? In everything they do. But listen, this might be too social or political.
That's fine. We need to go there because
doing.
That's just how I feel. This is what I wanted to talk about, because I felt this way and I haven't been able to get this off my chest.
Sure.
Like, so we're sorry, audience, but this is where this needs to go, because I need to get this out of my system.
I am a Disney Parks fan. You can call me a Disney adult, whatever you want, but it's a place that,
sure,
Christy and I love to go. My whole family does. It's cool. With that said, I think that diversity and representation are important when it is natural and an organic sort of occurrence, right?
Yeah.
There are so many different cultures and ethnicities and, too many stories and perspectives and voices in this world to ignore.
For sure.
But I do think that Disney is guilty on a lot of levels of tokenism, which does not help forward things. It is not good for diversity to wedge somebody in and go, well, just because we need to hit a quota, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
That's not me taking a left or right stance. That's me saying, from the left, I look at what Disney's doing and saying, oh, you're not helping the cause. From the right, I would look at it and say, oh, you're doing something that's pissing me off because, you're forcing something, where it doesn't belong. There's a right way to do it. You know what? If you want a Black perspective and voice, hire a writer that's Black, that gets how to talk about this, that's also a Star Wars fan.
Yes. Yes.
I think it works. It can work. It should work. There is and Star Wars has never been a white franchise.
No,
most of the leads are white, but there's always been people of color in Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I do think a lot of what happened in those sequel movies was a symptom of hitting the panic button and undo and get rid of. And
what do you like? And what do you mean? I'm kind of
in the sense that I think Disney went, ooh, that backfired on us. People were pissed off about that one. In the next one, let's, get rid of, people hated the Finn and Rose romance. Just get rid of both of them. Just hide both of them. We, don't talk about them anymore. Stuff like that. I think a lot of it was symptoms of that. I would be willing to bet if you talk to J.J. Abrams, he had a never-ending list of demands of, here are things that need to happen in this movie. Fix these things. And all of it, I'd be willing to bet, came from studies and feedback from their audiences. And they were trying to just craft the thing that they thought would fix it, which I don't think worked. But with all that said, I rarely think about those sequel movies. Because to me,
you're in the Clone Wars vibe, man. Like
they're a drop in the bucket of Star Wars. I can easily ignore those. Walk away from them.
That's where I need to get to, because that's what. But I mean, you watch I haven't watched all the newer content, so I'm trying. Like Boba Fett, I couldn't watch. I thought it was boring as hell. I loved the Mandalorian episodes in there. I thought it was great. Those were great. But
I agree. I wish they had just done a 3-episode Mandalorian arc.
Okay, so
Boba Fett was always my favorite character as a kid,
dude, and it's just like,
and they didn't do him justice.
They painted this story as like this mob boss, like he's just doing wet work, and like that's not, from what I saw, that's not what happened. No, when my buddy's like, 3 of these episodes are Mandalorian episodes, I was like, oh, let me watch those. And they were a completely different tone, and they were awesome. I will say I do think there's a lot of female leads in Star Wars, and like as in this recent content. And I'm not opposed to female leads. I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of from the
very
Acolyte,
few of my
Acolyte,
favorite Star Wars characters
the Acolyte
are male.
That's fine. I'm just there is a let's call it what it is. Let's stop pretending. Marvel and Star Wars are a bunch of properties for 50-year-old white men. Like, that's who's going to spend all the money. If that's who's spending the money.
Well, then, I mean, by that rationale, everything is for 50-year-old white men.
We need, I understand we need to get a newer audience in here.
It's 2026. Like, the people with the money are 80-year-old white men.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 80-year-old white men. But that kind of goes back to your theory that, like, it's both of our theory. If you're going to do this stuff, you need to do it well, first of all. And two, like, this is why you can't continually play off of nostalgia. Like, and you need to, like, if you're trying to, I just hate this, like, whole, like, modern audience thing that we're trying to, like, bring. Like, I think that is, like, a complete myth. But we need to, I get the concept of, like, bringing in fresh blood and new blood, but there has to be a balance. I've never understood. And Star Wars has been really guilty of this, of like pissing off the fan base you have in order for the modern audience fan base. Like, I
mean, that's always like, listen, look at any band that came up in, you know, a DIY or underground music scene. There comes a point where they have an opportunity to cross over to a wider audience by changing their sound a little and abandoning the old audience. Leave behind the people that got you there for a way bigger audience. That's a thing. It happens.
Well, how come Star Wars hasn't been successful at it though?
Because they don't know what people want, and people don't know what people want.
Okay.
I also think Star Wars is and can be for anybody, because you can tell so many stories in the Star Wars universe that can connect with whoever. And I don't think the gender of the lead matters very much, because I mean, my favorite lead in any Star Wars movie is Jyn Erso.
Bro, see, that I was just about to say I love Jyn Erso. So, like, but Jyn Erso was written very well, even though it was like one film. And Rey had 3 films, and I'm not like opposed to Rey. I don't hate Rey or anything.
I don't dislike Rey.
Rey was just like,
she's going to get 3 more movies. You know that, right?
Well, yeah, I did.
There's a Rey trilogy coming.
Perfect. Great. Well, I don't know, man. It's just tonally Star Wars just, it feels off. It just feels off. I need to watch all this content that you're telling me is great, but it's just, I don't know.
So
we got Lizzo and Jack Black and Star. We got Lizzo and Jack Black. And me and Dave he's like, what do you care if Lizzo? I'm like, dude, like, these are just like symptoms to me of like, this is, it's not the like diversity and all. It's like, these are symptoms of the problems to me that like tonally these things are off. That is what I'm trying to get across.
I would agree that tonally
we're focusing on Lizzo and Jack Black.
Yeah.
Like,
the second you turn the camera and it's Lizzo and Jack Black, you're
that's what I'm seeing.
Pulled out of it, right?
That's what exactly.
It didn't destroy it for me, but I was kind of like, oh, that's weird.
But I was already on like, you've already subverted my expectations, and then I see Lizzo and Jack Black in Star Wars. I'm like, okay, perfect. Then off of the beginning of Boba Fett, where it was like super jokey and he's getting pulled out of this, I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like,
yeah, Boba Fett was a stumble. I think
I'm gonna go back.
Was a stumble.
Oh, that was a huge stumble. They're space witches, bro. Like, explain this.
Okay, here's the thing.
I'm gonna come across the sexist guy. Like, that's
Dathomir and the witches of Dathomir is probably my favorite aspect of Star Wars. I could just watch an entire franchise that just exists there.
Of course you would.
I'm just saying.
No, that's
again, Asajj Ventress is my favorite Star Wars character.
What character? I don't know what character that. Like,
she's a Dathomirian witch.
And is she from like the Acolyte, or is that from?
No, she's in Clone Wars and
Clone
Bad
Wars.
Batch and
the good stuff that was written by Filoni. The good stuff.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. It's just such a cool character. And Dark Disciple, there's a book. So Clone Wars got canceled before it was complete, and they had written several episodes that never got produced. And several of those episodes were an additional arc of Asajj Ventress. And it got made into a book that is, to me, one of the best pieces of Star Wars content post-acquisition. I love it. But again, I could get, if you were a mainline Star Wars only, you only watched the movies and you didn't really pay attention to the other stuff, where you'd be like, why are there witches? I don't get it. But they're tapping into the Force, no different than a Jedi.
The power of man. You're not going to convince me that's good stuff, man. Like there's no way that is not. Come on, that is not Star Wars.
I guess I'm that deep into it, but
you're
love that
deep. That's fine, man. Like that's, I don't know, man.
Guess what?
Rogue One was Star Wars.
A Dathomirian witch shows up.
I'm not opposed to a Dathomirian witch. It just sounds fun.
But she shows up in, she's actually a prominent character in the Jedi games in Fallen Order and Survivor.
It's from what I'm taking from this conversation, I really need to just watch Clone Wars and then like all the animated stuff. And I'm like, this is great.
I do think you should watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
All right.
And Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, I was just about to jump into Bad Batch because I was like, this looks cool. It's like, isn't it Clone Troopers or something?
It is, but it's modified clone troopers that are bad clones. And so they basically send them on suicide missions.
Dude, that sounds awesome. Like that sounds fantastic.
Awesome. And if you watch the Clone Wars, you'll learn about the origins of the Bad Batch and the characters in it.
Like there was an episode of Clone Wars where I watched where like Palpatine was trying to kill this creature to get its plating or something. I was like, oh, that went dark. And I'm like, that's the stuff I like. But like,
I can't tell you how many times we would be watching Clone Wars or Rebels or Bad Batch, and Christy or I would look at the other one and go, oh yeah, this is for kids.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think it's super dismissive for somebody to be like, because I had a friend that was like, everybody's fighting over this shit, but you got to remember, it's a movie about space wizards for children. And I'm like, saying something is for children is a way to immediately dismiss it. There's content made for children. And then there like Coco Melon for children. And then there is content that is made that is not strictly for adults.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That anybody can enjoy, that might appeal to children as well. If you have lost all sense of fantasy and imagination and adventure to the point where you dismiss Star Wars as only for children or animation is only for children, then I feel really bad for you because you live a really sad life. Yeah. Right? Like if we can't have that sense of wonder still, if we can't still have that sense of imagination and awe, then we've given up. And I think that's what Star Wars is for me.
I think for me, one of my favorite quotes is from the great Jim Cornette. I don't know if you know who Jim Cornette is.
I don't think so. Is it a sports person?
He's a pro wrestling manager.
Oh, okay.
But he would talk about guys in pro wrestling about how like they would be working in the territories when there was regional territories, how they would be there all the time. And the quote he always says, well, how will you miss me if I don't go away? So I've been so like distant from Star Wars that like I'm ready to come back, like, and dip my toe in. And that's why I was like, hey, like I've heard universally from people who hate Star Wars that Andor is good. So I'm like, let me start with Andor and just like dip my toe in. And like, I'm enjoying it. It's fine. It's not, there's nothing,
it's not bad content.
There's nothing offensive to me about Andor.
No,
but having this conversation with you and share it in the back of my head too, it's like, all right, I'm going to find some essential Clone Wars episodes from season 1. I feel like this is the same way with Star Trek too. It's like the first season is like whatever, but then like second and third, just start watching it, and that's when it like hits its stride. Like I think I'm gonna do that.
I hate when people are like, you got to get through the first 2 seasons, then it picks up.
I hate that. I hate that, bro. Just tell me when it gets good. Like
I mean, listen, some things are like that, right? And I think for me, Clone Wars, I don't think they knew what they wanted to do with it. I still like all that content.
Yeah.
but it really starts to become a cohesive story instead of more anthological. By that
I'll still have 6 more seasons, a movie, bad, like it's fine. Like I'll be all right. Like I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. So like, I think I got Disney Plus now. I might start ripping through some of that content.
You should do it. Okay, so
yeah,
is there anything they could do that would immediately put you back on board?
Bro, I told you they got to retcon everything. They got to retcon the sequel. No, just the sequel trilogy. They got to retcon it.
Hey, let Filoni make an animated series that fixed the sequel trilogy, just like he did with Clone Wars for the prequels.
In this moment right now, I don't know if I'll like ever 100% be back to like where I was with everything. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to like, if something interests me, like I said, those 2 movies I was going to go see, like Starfighter and Grogu and Mandalorian. Like I plan on seeing that. So it's like, I'm not opposed. My engagement has really been like more so like the video games, because like it's just easier content for me. Like I like playing obviously video games, but they just need to put out a consistently good product. Like it needs to be consistent. And like I kind of felt like Marvel was kind of going the same direction, but they're kind of like course correcting now. So like they're trying. And well, talking to you, like part of that is the like nostalgia. They're really pulling on some of the nostalgia, especially in Marvel, and we can't. I want to be hopeful. I don't want to be just toxic to Star Wars. Like I'm not that kind of person, but I just feel like it's let me down a lot.
Sure. For both Star Wars and Marvel, it's tough to be consistent when you're putting out as much content as they are.
100%. And with me, like I'm getting to that stage in my life. You just gave me a fantastic recommendation. I can watch Clone Wars. By the time I get to the end of Clone Wars, I'm going to forget everything I knew about Clone Wars in the early, and I could just start that over. So it's like, I'm just, instead of me just like, I hate Star Wars, like I'm just engaging with the content that I like actually enjoy. And I think that's a healthier way to engage these hobbies. I'm not going to get on Twitter and bitch about it and say everything's woke and like that's not helpful. That's stupid. Like it doesn't help anyone. So like I just engage in the content where it meets me at. So like I'm going to go check out the animated stuff. I like animation. We're watching DC movies. So like I have no problem with animation. Yeah. Probably prefer it. So like I'm good with that.
I hope Star Wars stays woke. I hope everything gets woke. I think we need more of
the W word.
I think I'm sick of people using that word as a weapon.
I hate it. It's co-opted. It doesn't even mean what it doesn't mean what it was supposed like.
No. Now it's a word that just says I'm
you don't like anyone.
I don't want to come out and say that I'm a racist is what people who use woke means.
Yes.
So fuck that. But I don't think there's anything that would put me back off of Star Wars at this point. And I'm sort of on the same page as you. Like you're in the like, I don't know if there's anything that'll really bring me back. And I'm like, I don't know if there's anything that'll push me away, but for the same reasons. I have learned that every single thing in Star Wars doesn't have to be for me.
Yeah.
And because there's so much of it that I'm okay with that I'll interact with all of it instead of just going, well, I'll just interact with what I like, but I'll interact with as much of it as I can and take the positives away and not be pissed if some of it's not for me.
Yeah.
Because exactly. I know there's enough that is.
I just feel like the comic book collector mindset, it builds in that, like you need to read every tie-in of Marvel Civil War, which is 300 books to get the full story and do like, no, man, like instead of me hating Star Wars, I'm going to enjoy if Erik is like, you need to watch this show, Matt. Well, I'm going to watch that show because it's on Erik's recommendation. Like I'm, and that gives me a social thing to connect with someone with.
Yeah.
Like that's way more important. Like I'll get through something mediocre if like it's something we can talk about.
Let's do fucking Clone Wars book club.
I'm sure Dave would love the content. The podcast.
We could love. What if once a month we both start watching Clone Wars and once a month we check in. All right. We watched, another half season of Clone Wars or something.
I think Dave would be very pleased with that because that'd be one episode he doesn't have to watch. But
all right, Dave, chime in.
I think we should definitely we should review one of those weeks we should do. I'll go see any like the movies. I'll go like I'm going to go see Grogu, so we should definitely talk about that. We should definitely talk about Starfighter when that comes out. Yeah, like I'm down. Like if it forces my hand to do something, like I'm down for it. But
all right, I'm in. I'll talk about Star Wars anytime, and I can't wait for you to get deep enough into the lore that you're like, oh, what about this and that and this character, and then we can be like, oh yeah, this was happened because of that, and this was that, and that this character showed up because remember they were from that thing, and you know.
I might have to. I've like I said, I've been on a Star Trek binge. I might have to jump over the Star Wars and just start getting caught up on the Clone Wars, because that's something I can watch every day at work over lunch for like 20 minutes. Like I can watch an episode of Clone Wars over lunch every day. So, yeah. All
right. Well, hey, listen,
good, man.
We've said a lot about Star Wars. There's a lot of emotions in this episode from both sides.
Yeah.
You can tell us what your thoughts are on Star Wars, and you can tell us why you think we're both either completely wrong or completely right. All the links for socials are in the description, right?
They should be.
If Dave posts correctly.
That's the least Dave can do. We gave him a night off, so he should be able to do that.
Yeah, and join the Discord. That's a good place to talk about Star Wars.
Yes.
There's a movies channel. Get in there. Or episode. You can talk about it in the episodes channel now that this is out.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, well, I think that's it. That wrapped us up. Erik, thank you for engaging, having this conversation. You know, I didn't know how this was going to go without Dave, but this went way better than I could have ever anticipated. And now I feel like we've consummated this relationship, and we're gonna have to do some kind of Star Wars check-in. You might have to check me on Andor or something. I don't know. We're gonna figure something out, but yeah, I think that's it. And I guess from the comic dudes, my name is Dave. See, I'm so used to it. My name is Matt.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I'm trying to get us out of here.
Oh, okay. Well,
in hyperspeed.
My name is Dave too.
And we'll see you next week. Peace.